Yes, so today's video from Viyet Biology, and Viyet Biology is the one of the m- unit under Viyet Earth. Okay, and Viyet Earth is the one of the major unit under Viyet. So this video is basically will give idea that how our you know the circulation system come you know circulation systems are working. Okay, and the main the operator of our whole circulation system is called blood. So blood is basically your operator for the circulation system. So it's carry oxygen from outside, okay, and it's remove your carbon dioxide from your body to outside. Okay, so how is functioning happening? And for this blood is going to into your vein. Okay, so in this blood you can see the two kind of blood cell is there, red blood cell and white blood cell. And expect white blood cell, there is a one state, it's called plasma. Okay, so this basically is a plasma. So today we are talking about that. Even we are so much talking about this plasma theory, right? So what exactly this people we can ask ourselves. Plasma is basically a state or particular liquid which is maximum in blood, our blood, because red blood cell percentage is 45% and white blood cell is just 1%. Okay, so 46% is basically the cell, and other all this portion, okay, the 54 is basically are the plasma. So maximum plasma is present in our blood. Now why we're talking about the plasma? If we take plasma from someone body, it will not help. We have to collect plasma and the antibodies, the white blood cell also, because when any pathogen go inside our body and it was destroyed by our particular eosinophil, okay, and lymphocyte cell, then it's basically create one kind of atoms, it's called basically antibody. So white blood cell, eosinophil, or maybe sometime lymphocyte cell create this kind of specific atoms, and those basically try to protect ourselves from those pathogen. So why we are talking about to collecting plasma? Because inside plasma those antibodies is present. So we need to understand this thing now. And exactly, if you look on that, if we took blood from somebody's body and we keep this blood in tube, then we will get this plasma. Because plasma's thickness is quite light, so automatically it come to the upper level, and red blood cell density is quite high, so it will into the lower level. Okay, and white blood cell is basically 5 type. Okay, eosinophil, basophil, lymphocyte, and those are okay. So and those are the different function in our body. Now today why I'm talking about this suddenly, because when we are talking about our plasma theory, we need to understand that this is not just to collect plasma and injecting somebody's. We need to understand our blood group, which is I already discussed on another video, that what is how this antibody create and come on different ways of blood, because antibodies are also different kind of antibodies and antigen is present in our blood based on our blood group. So if your blood group is O, then your antibody or antigen will be different from the blood group of A, or maybe A, B, or maybe the B. Okay, now this particular picture you can see that we are talking about plasma. We need to understand that what is the states of matter when we are talking about a plasma. Plasma is not similar to like liquid. Liquid is different thing and plasma is different thing. In liquid we can say that it is an atom, but in plasma there is a no atom, all are electron and neutron. So condition and the composition is quite different. We cannot separate any ion or any atom, any particular neutron and electron from particular plasma, because plasma's structures are totally strong. Okay, so when we try to take plasma from someone, we have to take all this thing, and that is why plasma states is the most interesting and most activate state. And it's come to the when we give a a particular heat to gas, then gas become converted into the plasma. Okay, you need to understand it. So you need to also understand by this picture that inside our body temperature is so high because our blood condition upper level is a plasma. So the temperature of this particular inside our body is so high because except this heat, no atom can divide into a electron and neutron, and then it cannot be converted into a plasma. To any particular state or any particular things, if it can want to convert into a plasma, it needs specific kind of heat, which is very important. So when we are talking about plasma inside our body with our blood cells, then it is a very high temperature. We are collecting those plasma, then automatically we have to keep this plasma in a specific temperature, otherwise it will deactivate. So that we need to think. Okay, so that is exactly the state of plasma. Yes, so this particular picture from you get, I already talked about that how many blood cell we have. Now our blood cell in our vein and blood cell in our inside our bone, it is two different things. When we are talking about bone, it is we have a lymphocyte cell, and which is two type of lymphocyte cell, T and a B, and those lymphocyte cell are basically responsible protect our bones from any kind of pathogens. Okay, and when we are talking about collecting plasma, we are basically talking about to collect those specific antibodies which is created by the lymphocyte cell in our body. And red blood cell don't have capacity to protect our body from any pathogens. It basically responsible to circulate oxygen and carbon dioxide in our body. So it is red blood cell is carry oxygen and again taking back carbon dioxide from our body. But when we are talking about protecting our body from the pathogen, is basically work done by white blood cells. And in white blood cells, is five type of blood cell, and all five blood cells carry different kind of responsibilities. Okay, and when you're talking about protecting our body from outside pathogen, then we have to think about the neutrophil and lymphocyte cell, and they are basically responsible for creating antibody and antigens. But you have to understand one thing: when you're talking about the antibody, it's basically one more atom created by this particular cell, and it's prevent this, it deactivated the function of this particular pathogens proteins. Okay, so it is also one kind of protein. So one protein try to deactivate another protein, so both are protein only. So when we are talking about the collecting plasma, it is basically a different kind of protein structure that we are trying to collect. But again you have to understand that we cannot just collect plasma and inject somebody's body. So this picture is different. This picture is basically talking about your reality. We when in lab, if we see the blood situation on particular glass light and through our microscope, then we will get exactly this picture. And in this picture you can see that how much percentage, I told you that 56 percentage is basically, sorry, 54 percentage is basically present plasma in our blood, and 45% is red blood cell, and just 1% is white blood cell. So white blood cells quantity is a very less in our body, but we need all this cell only. We need plasma. Why we are collecting plasma? Because we cannot separate those white cell from our plasma. So when we have to collect those antibodies or antigens, not antigens, antibodies. Antigen is basically to helping to pathogens, and antibodies protecting body to pathogen. That's I will tell in different video. So that we need to understand that. So when we try to collect plasma, we are collecting those antibodies, and this antibodies is created by the lymphocyte cell, T or B cell. I told you about that. Now, but it is totally associated with plasma, and plasma state is quite not like a liquid, not like a gas, because you cannot separate. In plasma you cannot separate atoms, because there is no atom, there is all are ions, neutrons and protons. That is why when we try to collect plasma, we have to inject plasma only, because we cannot separate all these ions differently. That is why if we have to push the antibodies to somebody, we have to push our all plasma to somebody's body. But again, this plasma's antibody will be different based on different kind of blood group. Blood group O did not carry the same antigen or antibody with the blood group of A. Now, when we are talking about our blood circulation system, we need to understand how it's circulating. To our small vein, it's circulating. Okay, and when it's circulating, it is carrying red blood cell, white blood cell, and plasma, and also the pathogens. Obviously, there's a lot of pathogens in our body, but very honestly, maximum pathogens are normally deactivated. I will not say they're killed, because they are not killing any pathogens. They are deactivated automatically. After that, they will uh, reduced by some our when we are releasing our carbon dioxide. That time also we release. Sometime we are you are giving urine. That time also some pathogens go outside. Though this is the way it's go, but a lot of pathogens also is present in our body. But all pathogens are not like that. Today we are facing the virus crisis. The maximum pathogens is killed by normally by all this neutrophil and our you can say lymphocytes cell, T and B cell. This is a T and B are the most basically the cell who are protecting our body from all these pathogens, especially from virus. So this is the exactly way you can see all the blood, and this is the blue colors is basically giving you the idea that how these neutrophil are catching those pathogens and taking it inside and then kill it. Okay, different way those white blood cell kill. The way neutrophil work is quite different from the eosinophil. It is also quite different from our lymphocyte cell. Lymphocyte cell is lymphocyte cell is basically main responsible to protect our body from viruses, and because it is two kind of cells there. Again, T and B. B is basically antigens is talking about, and T is antibody. Antigen antibody is how is defined? Is defined your blood Rh factor, because your blood groups, because based on antibody and antigen, basically your blood group is defined. So here you can see in the picture that we are talking about our immunity power. Immunity power is two type of. One is the innate immunity, one is the adaptive immunity. Today we are talking about the immunity power. We need to be innate immunity power, because we need immediate action. Because if we give a lot of time to coronavirus, maybe within this time it will kill many people. Okay, but like when we are talking about influenza virus, during a long period of time it become an adaptive immunity power. So if today we infected by any kind of influenza virus, today we don't feel, we just got sick for a few times, but again we cured by automatically without any kind of medicine and any vaccine. It is called adaptive immunity power. Maybe earlier time the smallpox virus was very much killer, but again we adapt, our body adapt the immunity power against it. Is called the adaptive immunity power. So a specific kind of cell is there which is called the mast cell. Okay, mast cell and dendritic cell. These two kind of cells are very important for the innate cell, which is not present in everybody's blood. Okay, it's a very important thing that somebody's blood is quite different from others, and it is called the powerful blood. And those blood, particular these two cells, has power to kill any kind of virus, and that is why we can see that somebody's people are surviving so much long with even HIV. Somebody's people are not. So these two special immunity power cells are the playing big role in that. Okay, so that you need to understand. One is a dendritic cell and one is a mast cell. Okay, now talking to you about adaptive cell, which I already talked about. The B cell, T cell, lymphocyte cell is two type of cell, B and T, and one is the neutral killer T cell, CD, B plus T cell. There is a lot of alpha gamma cell, a lot of other cells which are basically it is already some present in our body against influenza virus and many other viruses which we already had earlier, and now we are still facing. But we do not need any kind of medicine. We just normal cure, normal take care is normally cure our body. But these two cell I'm talking about, a mast cell. I think when you're talking about this kind of pandemic, and when you come talking about this kind of crisis, those, if we found this two cell in anybody's blood, it will helpful for our everybody. But very honestly, if somebody's blood is so powerful, it's not be that if we collect blood from somebody's and we injecting this blood to others, so it will work. No, it will not work, because our body structure is totally different. Our blood production, the level of blood, the, you know, the quantity of every cell into the blood, it is also defined by our total body system. Okay, and it also defined and related to with our brain system, our nucleus system, our every single cell structure system. So if we collecting blood from somebody's body, that it will work for others body, it will not, very honestly. So maybe, you know, very honestly, for my understanding, that the plasma theory will be not a very successful theory, or it will be a failed theory basically. But we are seeing that when we are applying plasma, it's really working. But no, plasma is not working. Basically, this person is normally automatically getting cured. But when, because we are injecting, pushing plasma to somebody's, so we are thinking that it's basically done by plasma. No, it is not done by plasma. It is done by its own antibody itself. Okay, so this two cell is very important. If we found this two cell in somebody's body, mast and dendritic cell, it is amazing, and these two cells are amazing, and it can cure any kind of, you know, infections. And very honestly, it's also, if these two cells present in our body, even the person can, you know, survive very long time with the immunodeficiency virus. I mean the virus which can change its RNA sequence and DNA sequence very fast. Okay, well, within a very short period of time. So last, this basically picture is basically showing that today's scenario, basically this virus, when you're talking about any kind of coronavirus, is basically, is, you know, mostly time it is infectious disease of our respiratory function. And when you're talking about respiratory function, we are talking about alveoli, right? And alveoli is like a pumping system in our body. So when the blood, this particular blood, this vein are receiving oxygen, and the blue vein are basically, you know, releasing carbon dioxide from your this particular pumping system. So those pump valve, or you can say the balloons, are covered by some liquid, and this liquid are basically the liquid which produced by this white blood cell after killing this virus. Okay, but because virus is producing so fast, it replicating its particular RNA into the cell very fast, so white cell is killing this virus and eating again producing, killing and again producing. So it is like a cuff, like a one kind of, you know, very nasty, very thick liquid, you know, stored into this particular balloon, and is protecting this particular pumping system. And that is why the circulation, blood circulation, and our respiratory function become slow and less, and that is why we need another pumping system in our body to circulate our heart. That is why we need ventilation. Okay, this is the infection into come to the alveoli and this pumping system. Now why I'm talking about this picture with this particular blood structure, we need to understand about the platelet. Platelet is basically when your body's blood concentration is decreasing, your platelet also decreasing. It happen when you will attacked by dengue. Dengue is defined by your platelet, because if your platelet is reducing, basically for dengue time we counter a platelet. But not just dengue time, every time, to understand your blood quality, we can calculate the platelet. If platelet is high, it means your blood quality is good. That you need to understand. Thank you very much for this video.